Today we're going to talk about The Matrix. I love The Matrix. The Matrix is my favorite movie of all time. There's so many things I love about The Matrix. For fun, cool, action cinematography stuff, but also the story, the characters, the plot line, the elements that are communicated in this film are incredible. So before we get any further, I need to let you guys know, spoiler alert, I am going to say some things about the story and the movie that are going to give things away. So if you haven't seen The Matrix, stop watching right now, go watch The Matrix, and then come back and maybe watch this. So the story goes, Neo, Mr. Anderson, Thomas A. Anderson, is this random character in this boring world who's a computer programmer. And he starts feeling this unrest. He's bothered. Something's wrong. Something's not fitting in or lining up in the way that he knows the world is supposed to be. He doesn't know how he knows. He just knows something's wrong, right? And he goes on this journey, encounters these interesting characters who have these kind of renegade, criminal vibe to them, right? Like they're breaking the system, the rules. They don't fit in here. And long story short, Neo wakes up in the real world and finds out the life he's been living this whole time was a computer program, like a simulation. It was a delusional fantasy he was living in, and he thought that was his life. Morpheus is the guy who gets Neo out of the Matrix, wakes him up, and he tells him, the reason I woke you up this late in your life is because there's a guy in the Matrix who's the one. There's a prophecy saying that he's coming, and this guy has the ability to change the Matrix, anything going on in there, how he sees fit. And he's the one who freed the first of us, that woke us up, and he's coming back, and he's here, and I think it's you. He tells this to Neo, and Neo's like, what? Right, because that's kind of a big deal. What's fascinating about this movie is it blends science fiction, like action, martial arts, gunfighting, with mysticism and faith and the hero's journey. And it's one of the most profound and staunch demonstrations of a hero's progression and becoming who they're supposed to be that I've seen. So Neo he goes to see what they call the Oracle. She's this character in the movie who tells people their future and tells them what's going to come. And she says things to them they need to hear to find the path they're supposed to be on. And there's all this warning and disclaimers around her. Try not to think about what she says in terms of right and wrong. She's here to guide you. And he's like, well, does she know everything? And Morpheus is like, well, she would say that she knows enough, right? So he goes to the Oracle, and she looks at his hands and his mouth and his ears, and she tells him, you already know what I'm going to tell you. And he's like, I'm not the one. She's like, sorry, kid. You've got the gift, but it looks like you're waiting for something. He's like, for what? She's like, I don't know. Maybe your next life. Who knows? Neo finds out in this dramatic encounter with the Oracle that he's actually not the one. And everyone is so convinced that he is, especially Morpheus. He comes out of that encounter with the Oracle, and he's about to tell Morpheus what she said. And he's like, no, what she told you was for you. And you alone, and no one else needs to know. And so Neo's like, oh gosh. She also tells him, by the way, Morpheus is going to die. Well, in one hand, Morpheus is going to die, or you're going to die. You'll have both your lives in your hands, and whoever dies is going to be up to you. So Neo leaves with this kind of grim information and is kind of stressed out. He's got a lot of anxiety about it. So at one point, Morpheus protects Neo and gets taken captive by the bad guys who are super powerful and now is in their control. The guy who's running the ship decides they should pull the plug on Morpheus so he dies in the Matrix, and they're about to pull a plug and he's about to get killed, and Neo's like, stop, I can't believe this is happening. She told me this is going to happen. They're like, what? He's like, I can save him. They're like, how? He's like, because I believe it. I know I can do this. And Trinity, one of the other characters, is like, okay, let's do it. So they both jack back into the Matrix. They do these incredible feats. Once Neo accepts the release that he's not the one, he starts doing some pretty remarkable things. He starts dodging these bullets, and Trinity's like, how did you dodge those bullets? I've never seen anybody move that fast. You move like the bad guys do. And he's like, well, clearly it wasn't fast enough because he got shot a couple times. So she lets it go. Trinity's in a helicopter and she starts falling. Neo doesn't stop. He grabs the rope and is going to literally pull her out of the helicopter, even though the whole thing is about to crash. And he saves her. And so anyway, you see these little moments here and there where he starts demonstrating some supernatural abilities, things that normal people can't do. So everyone else is pretty convinced at this point, this guy's the one, he's it. And they don't know that she told him he wasn't. And it was fascinating to watch his journey, because up to the point when he was supposed to be the one, he was having a lot of insecurity, a lot of doubt, a lot of introspection and self-consciousness. Wasn't really able to move freely or confidently in anything. And then once the label of the one was taken off of him and he was given permission to not have to be that, not have to be something for anybody else or have to be a certain identity or role he didn't identify with. All of a sudden, in his freedom, he started demonstrating what was always true about him, and then pretty soon, somewhere in the movie, he wakes up and realizes he actually is the one. And then we watch him become super victorious and kick the bad guys' butts, and he wins, and it's incredible. And it's fascinating to observe that journey where, you know, all of us have labels that get put on us, one way or the other, good or bad. And sometimes when those labels get put on us, we get really self-conscious and really introspective, and everything's about us and how we're performing and how well we're doing and are we good enough in this? And when that label gets removed, if you could simply just let go of having to be that person, you actually find a lot of empowerment and grace to step into being the person you've always been and are supposed to be without having to be them. So we get to watch Neo go on his journey and figure out what that looks like, but the same is true for us. And so as he goes on this journey and we watch him transform, we identify pretty strongly with his journey because that's us. We get to choose to let go of being that person from the past, of being small, weak, irrelevant, whatever, and starting to embrace the permission to be great, to be incredible, to be the most important person ever, to save the world. And that's important because that is what God is doing as you. He's here to change things as you, and he's inviting us to be remarkable and to play our part in this incredible story. So I love that. And then there are lots of other elements in this movie. It's incredible. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch The Matrix. If you haven't seen it, you've gotten this far, I've kind of ruined it for you. But you guys just, you know, remember, whenever you are watching a movie, there is no spoon. I mean, you're never alone. We are Neo, and as he goes this is really hard.
You did a great job.
Today we're going to talk about... Oh, crap. Already messed it up. No, we're fine. It's fine. I've got this. Was that me? Was that me? Oh, man. We're going to have some spoiler alerts. Okay? Stop.